Welcome to our world of discovery and adventure. This channel is all about exploring the unknown, explaining the incredible, and revealing the truth behind the most fascinating topics on Earth. If you love learning something new every day, you're in the right place. Now we explore, explain, Hades, the ruler of the Underworld.
In the vast tapestry of Greek mythology, there exists no figure more shrouded in mystery and misinterpretation than Hades, the ruler of the underworld. For countless centuries, mortals have spoken his name with trembling lips, often avoiding it altogether for fear of drawing his gaze. Yet Hades was never the embodiment of evil as later ages portrayed him. He was not a cruel tormentor, nor the fiery devil that modern imagination often paints. To the ancient Greeks, he represented something far more complex: the inevitability of death, the stillness of the earth, and the sacred order that binds all existence together. Hades was a god of balance, not destruction. His reign was not one of suffering, but of solemn duty, a necessary counterforce to the life and light ruled by his brother Zeus. His world beneath the surface of the earth was a mirror of the mortal world above, but quieter, eternal, and just. Long before Hades came to rule the realm of shadows, the cosmos itself was a storm of chaos and creation. In the beginning, there was only chaos, a void without form or time. From this endless emptiness emerged Gaia, the earth, Tartarus, the abyss, and Eros, the force of creation and attraction. Gaia, desiring companionship, brought forth Uranus, the sky, whose vast expanse covered her body. Together they birthed the first divine race, the Titans, beings of immense power who shaped the early order of the universe. Among these mighty beings were Cronus and Rhea, destined to play a central role in the birth of the Olympian gods. But even in the divine realm, power was never free from fear. Cronus, having overthrown his own father Uranus, was warned by prophecy that one of his children would do the same to him. Terrified by the echo of his own betrayal, Cronus swallowed each of his offspring the moment they were born. One by one, the divine children vanished into the darkness of Cronus's belly: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, leaving no trace of their light. Only the youngest, Zeus, escaped his father's hunger. Their mother Rhea, desperate to save her last child, deceived Cronus by handing him a stone wrapped in swaddling cloth instead of the infant Zeus. Hidden deep within a cave on the island of Crete, the baby god grew in secret, nourished by the goat Amalthea and guarded by divine spirits known as the Curetes, who drowned out his cries by clashing their shields in rhythm. Time passed, and Zeus became strong and cunning, his spirit burning with the fire of destiny. When he came of age, he returned to confront the tyrant who had devoured his siblings. With the help of the goddess Metis, Zeus tricked Cronus into swallowing a potion that forced him to regurgitate the children he had imprisoned. From the depths of Cronus's body emerged the divine heirs, the first generation of the Olympians, and among them stood Hades, the eldest son. As he rose from that darkness, his eyes reflected the deep shadows of the earth itself. He was reborn into a universe trembling with conflict, for the release of the Olympians heralded a new war, the Titanomachy, the epic struggle between the old gods and the new. The earth shook as gods clashed, the seas roared with rage, and the heavens burned with divine fire. For 10 years the war raged without end. The Olympians, young but powerful, fought with courage and cunning, while the Titans, led by Cronus and his allies, wielded the strength of ages. Hades was not the loudest nor the most visible warrior in this divine conflict, but he was one of the most feared. The Cyclopes, grateful to Zeus for freeing them from Tartarus, crafted gifts for each of the three brothers. For Zeus, they forged the mighty thunderbolt; for Poseidon, the trident; and for Hades, the helm of darkness, a crown that rendered its wearer unseen to both gods and monsters. This symbol of unseen power became Hades' greatest weapon. While Zeus struck from the sky and Poseidon shattered mountains with the sea's fury, Hades moved silently through the shadows of battle. Invisible to all, he struck terror into the hearts of the Titans, dismantling their ranks from within and spreading confusion wherever he went.
When the final day of war arrived, the heavens themselves seemed to split apart. The thunder of Zeus clashed with the roars of the Titans, while the ground quaked beneath the fury of divine forces. In that climactic moment, Hades crept unseen into the fortress of Cronus. He unleashed a silent terror from the dark, tearing down the defenses of the Titans from within, allowing Zeus and Poseidon to strike the final blow. The Titans fell, defeated and bound in chains forged by the Cyclopes, and were cast into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, guarded by giants and walls of fire. With victory secured, the three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, stood together atop Mount Olympus to divide the dominion of the universe. Zeus, as the youngest yet most powerful, took the sky and the heavens as his realm. Poseidon claimed the sea, its depths and storms as his domain. Hades, the eldest, received the underworld, the unseen world beneath the earth where the souls of mortals would dwell after death. Many later poets and storytellers have described this division as a punishment for Hades, suggesting he was banished from the bright world above. But in the original mythic order, there was no banishment. Hades chose his realm willingly. For Hades, the underworld was not a place of despair. It was a place of order, a world that reflected the silence and permanence of the earth itself. While the skies changed with storms and the seas raged with waves, the ground remained constant, eternal, unchanging. Hades found peace in that constancy. In the shadows, he saw purpose. In silence, he saw truth. He understood that every life must return to the soil, that all things born must one day descend into darkness. And so, when he accepted his dominion, he did so not with grief, but with solemn pride. He became the guardian of the final passage, the ruler of what lies beyond, and the keeper of balance between life and death. The realm of Hades lay beneath the surface of the mortal world, far below the roots of the mountains and the rivers that wound through the earth. It was not a realm of fire, as later ages imagined, but a vast and layered kingdom, known to the Greeks as the Underworld. Its entrance was hidden in the farthest reaches of the earth, guarded by rivers that divided the world of the living from the world of the dead. The most famous of these rivers was the Styx, whose black waters bound even the gods with unbreakable oaths. Others included Acheron, the river of pain, Cocytus, the river of lamentation, Phlegethon, the river of fire, and Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. Souls of the departed were ferried across these waters by Charon, the grim boatman, who demanded payment, a single coin placed in the mouth of the dead upon burial. Those who had no coin were said to wander the shores for eternity, unable to cross. Upon entering the underworld, souls would find themselves before the gates guarded by Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades. Fierce and loyal, Cerberus allowed no living being to pass within, nor any dead soul to escape. Beyond those gates lay the vast plains of Asphodel, where ordinary souls wandered in quiet reflection, neither punished nor rewarded. The underworld was not a simple realm of torment. It was a reflection of mortal deeds and divine justice. The virtuous souls were guided to the Elysian fields, a paradise of eternal peace and light, while the wicked were cast into Tartarus, a pit of eternal punishment for the unrepentant. Between these realms stood Hades, the silent judge and sovereign, ensuring that all things received their due fate.
Unlike Zeus, who basked in the adoration of mortals, or Poseidon, who raged in storms and tempests, Hades preferred solitude. He ruled without vanity, seated upon a throne of obsidian and gold. He wore his crown, the helm of darkness, not as a weapon, but as a symbol of invisibility and impartiality. To Hades, death was not cruelty, it was fairness. Every mortal, rich or poor, powerful or weak, would one day kneel before him. In this equality, he found justice. Though feared by mortals, Hades was also respected. The Greeks prayed to him quietly, leaving offerings of black animals or spilling honeyed wine into the soil. They called him Pluton, meaning the wealth giver, for he was also the god of hidden riches, the precious metals, gems, and fertile soil that came from beneath the ground. In this way, Hades was both the god of death and the god of abundance. And so, Hades began his eternal reign in the underworld, a silent, shadowed kingdom that pulsed with unseen life. The world above blossomed and perished in endless cycles, and every fallen leaf, every dying breath returned to his domain. Mortals feared him because they could not understand him, but Hades did not crave their fear. He ruled with detachment, a god who neither sought worship nor demanded pity. He simply existed, as constant as the soil, as inevitable as the setting sun. Yet within the cold perfection of his realm, something was missing, a touch of warmth, a spark of love, something to remind him that even in darkness, beauty could bloom. That longing, though unspoken, would one day lead to one of the most profound and tragic tales in all of Greek mythology, the abduction of Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, and the binding of life and death in eternal rhythm. But that story belongs to another part of this epic journey. For now, Hades stands as the silent sovereign of the unseen world, the firstborn son who chose the shadows, the god who holds the keys to every mortal fate. His realm may be dark, but within that darkness lies the foundation of all existence. For without death, there can be no rebirth. Without silence, there can be no song. And without Hades, there can be no life.
Beneath the surface of the earth, where sunlight never reached and rivers whispered secrets older than time, Hades ruled his silent kingdom with dignity and restraint. Though his dominion was vast and filled with countless souls, there was a stillness to it, a stillness that mirrored the god himself. Hades was not cruel, yet he was feared. He was not lonely, yet he was alone. For countless ages, he had observed mortals come and go, kings fall and empires fade, yet none remained. Beneath the surface of the earth, where sunlight never reached and rivers whispered secrets older than time, Hades ruled his silent kingdom with dignity and restraint. Though his dominion was vast and filled with countless souls, there was a stillness to it, a stillness that mirrored the god himself. Hades was not cruel, yet he was feared. He was not lonely, yet he was alone. For countless ages he had observed mortals come and go, kings fall and empires fade, yet none remained. The cycle of life above continued endlessly, but in the underworld there was no birth, no growth, no renewal, only the calm certainty of death. It was in this eternal stillness that Hades began to feel something foreign, something almost human, a longing for companionship, for warmth, for something alive. Above the underworld, the earth flourished under the care of Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. She was revered among mortals as the mother of abundance, the one who made the soil fertile and the fields green. But Demeter's greatest joy was not her fields or her temples. It was her daughter, Persephone, a radiant maiden whose beauty seemed to blend sunlight and springtime itself. Persephone was adored by all who beheld her. Her laughter carried like wind through blooming meadows, and wherever she stepped, flowers were said to bloom from the earth. The gods themselves admired her grace, yet her mother guarded her fiercely, unwilling to let any immortal or mortal claim her. But fate once set in motion cannot be denied. One day, as Persephone wandered through the fields of Sicily with her companions, gathering wild flowers in the golden light of morning, she came upon a rare and wondrous bloom, a narcissus flower, gleaming with colors never seen before. As she reached down to pluck it, the ground beneath her feet trembled. A fissure opened in the earth, and from that chasm rose Hades, clad in black and gold, his chariot drawn by 4 immortal horses as dark as night. Before Persephone could cry out, the lord of the underworld seized her and vanished into the depths of the earth, the rift closing behind them as though it had never been. The world fell silent, the laughter of the fields died.
Above ground, Demeter felt an unbearable emptiness in her heart. She called her daughter's name again and again, but only the winds answered. For 9 days and nights she searched without rest, carrying torches in both hands, wandering across mountains and oceans. Not even the gods could comfort her grief. When at last she discovered the truth, that her brother Hades had taken Persephone to be his queen, her sorrow turned to fury. Demeter withdrew her blessings from the earth. The fertile fields turned barren, crops withered, rivers dried, and famine swept across the land. Mortals prayed and sacrificed, but nothing could soothe her rage. In the depths below, however, Persephone's tale was far more complex than the songs sung by mortals. At first, she was terrified. The underworld seemed vast and strange, filled with shadows that whispered her name. Hades, though stern and silent, did not harm her. He treated her not as a prisoner, but as a queen. He offered her treasures of the earth, gems, gold, and the shining minerals buried deep beneath the soil. He placed her upon a throne beside his own and promised her dominion over all souls. Yet Persephone's heart yearned for the sunlight, for the meadows where she once played.
Days passed, then weeks, and in the stillness of the underworld, something began to change. Persephone, once frightened, began to see beyond the darkness. She saw the souls who wandered the asphodel fields, the judges who weighed mortal deeds, and the rivers that carried memories of the living world. She saw that Hades ruled not with cruelty, but with fairness. He was just, patient, and deeply lonely. And though his world was shadowed, it was not without beauty. Slowly, compassion stirred within her, a tenderness she did not expect. In time, Hades approached her with a gift, a pomegranate, gleaming like a drop of living blood amid the gloom. He offered it not as a trap, but as a gesture of unity, a symbol of sharing his realm. Persephone, weary and longing for something to hold, ate a few seeds. That simple act sealed her fate. For those who taste the food of the underworld can never fully return to the world above. When Hermes, the messenger of the gods, finally came to bring her back at Zeus's command, it was too late for full release. A compromise had to be made. Zeus decreed that Persephone would spend part of each year with her mother above the earth and part with Hades in the underworld. When Persephone rose from the shadows, Demeter rejoiced, and the earth blossomed once more. Flowers bloomed, fields ripened, and the air filled with life. But when the time came for Persephone to return to her dark throne beside Hades, Demeter's grief withered the world, and winter fell. Thus began the eternal rhythm of the seasons, a divine reflection of love, loss, and return. This myth, simple in form but rich in meaning, became one of the most profound allegories of the ancient world. To the Greeks, the abduction of Persephone was not merely a story of love or tragedy, it was a metaphor for the cycle of nature and the mystery of rebirth. Persephone represented the grain buried beneath the earth, disappearing in winter only to rise again in spring. Hades, in turn, was the soil itself, the dark womb of nature where life sleeps and transforms. The union of Hades and Persephone was the sacred marriage between life and death, showing that one cannot exist without the other. In this union, Hades himself was transformed. The cold solitude that had defined his rule began to thaw. He found in Persephone not just a queen, but a reflection of everything he lacked: warmth, compassion, and renewal. For the first time, light entered his realm. The underworld, once a place of silence and judgment, became a kingdom of cycles and meaning. Persephone's presence brought balance to Hades' justice. Where he was stern, she was merciful. Together, they ruled over souls not as jailers, but as guides, ensuring that each mortal found their destined rest. The myth also reveals a deeper philosophical truth about the Greek understanding of the cosmos. The Greeks did not see death as an end, but as a transformation. To them, the underworld was not a place of eternal punishment. It was a necessary counterpart to life, a mirror that gave meaning to existence. Just as day gives way to night, and spring fades into winter, death followed life, as naturally as breath follows breath. Through Hades and Persephone, this eternal rhythm was made divine. Yet, despite the balance they achieved, the world above and below could never be fully reconciled. Demeter never forgave Hades entirely. Each year, as Persephone descended once more, the goddess mourned, her tears falling as frost upon the fields. And each spring, when Persephone returned, the earth awoke anew. In this eternal dance of departure and return, humanity found the pattern of its own existence. Joy followed by sorrow, birth followed by death, and hope reborn from despair.
In art and poetry, Hades and Persephone came to symbolize the dual nature of all creation. Hades was the stillness that anchors the storm, and Persephone was the bloom that breaks through the soil. Their story reminded mortals that even in darkness there is renewal, even in loss there is beauty. It was said that in the Elysian fields, when spring arrived, the souls of the blessed could glimpse the queen of the underworld walking among the meadows of eternity, her footsteps leaving trails of light that even Hades himself followed with silent devotion. For the ancients, to honor Hades was to acknowledge death, but to honor Persephone was to embrace the promise of rebirth. Together, they formed a divine paradox: love found in loss, warmth born from shadow, and immortality revealed through impermanence. As centuries passed, the cult of Persephone grew throughout Greece, blending with the secret rites of Demeter at Eleusis. There, initiates sought to understand the mysteries of life and death through sacred rituals known as the Eleusinian Mysteries. In those hidden ceremonies, the descent and return of Persephone were reenacted as a spiritual journey of the soul. Participants believed that by understanding this cycle, they could face death without fear, knowing that the soul, like the goddess, would one day rise again. Through Persephone's story, Hades' role was redefined. He was no longer merely the lord of the dead, but the keeper of renewal, the unseen force that ensured the continuation of life through death. Though mortals still feared his name, philosophers and priests understood his necessity. Without him, there could be no Demeter, no harvest, no rebirth. He was the silent balance behind all creation, the shadow that gives light its meaning. And so, beneath the roots of the earth, Hades and Persephone ruled together, not as conqueror and captive, but as eternal partners in the great cycle of existence. Their love was quiet, enduring, and inevitable, like the coming of night after day, or winter after autumn. For in the end, even gods cannot escape the rhythm that binds the universe, to descend, to rise, and to begin again.
In the depths of the ancient Greek imagination, Hades stood not merely as a god of death, but as the eternal custodian of truth. By the time the myths were written in their final forms, his image had transformed from that of a fearsome ruler to a complex, necessary presence in the divine hierarchy. For mortals, he was a figure of dread. For philosophers, he became the symbol of inevitability and balance. Through centuries of storytelling, the world began to realize that without Hades, existence itself would lose its meaning. Life would have no closure, justice would have no weight, and the natural order would crumble into chaos. Hades ruled over the underworld, a place not of fire and torment, but of structure and law. It was divided into distinct realms, each representing a moral and cosmic truth. The entrance to his domain was guarded by Cerberus, the three-headed hound who allowed souls to enter, but never to leave. Beyond the dark gates flowed the 5 rivers of the underworld: the Styx, the Acheron, the Cocytus, the Phlegethon, and the Lethe. Each carried its own symbolic burden: hatred, pain, wailing, fire, and forgetfulness. Together they formed a psychological and spiritual map of the human condition.
Upon death, the soul was escorted by Hermes Psychopompos, the divine guide of spirits. He would lead them to the edge of the Acheron, where the old ferryman Charon waited. Only those who carried a coin in their mouth or under their tongue could pay the toll and cross. This ancient custom, preserved in burial rituals, was not a superstition, but a declaration. Every life, no matter how humble, had a journey to complete. To be buried without the coin meant eternal wandering, a soul trapped between worlds. Once across the river, the spirits faced the judgment of the dead. 3 great judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, listened to each life's story, weighing deeds against conscience. The just were sent to the Elysian Fields, a land of eternal peace and music, where heroes and poets walked beneath golden light. The neutral or indifferent souls were sent to the Asphodel Meadows, a gray plain of reflection and routine. And the wicked were condemned to the Tartarus, a place of punishment not for sin in the modern sense, but for defiance against cosmic law. Even here, Hades was not a tormentor. He was an observer, ensuring that the universe remained fair and ordered. The Greeks never saw Hades as malicious. Unlike Zeus, who could be impulsive, or Poseidon, who raged with storms, Hades was steady, patient, and incorruptible. His justice was cold but flawless. When mortals attempted to defy death, like Sisyphus, who tricked the gods to escape his fate, Hades enforced consequence. Sisyphus was condemned to roll a boulder uphill forever, only to watch it tumble down again. His punishment was not cruelty, it was metaphor. It reminded mortals that resistance against the natural order brings endless futility. Equally symbolic was the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus, the divine musician, descended into the underworld to retrieve his beloved wife. His music was so beautiful that even the shadows wept, and Hades himself was moved. For the first and only time, the ruler of the dead showed mercy. He allowed Eurydice to return to life, but on one condition. Orpheus must not look back until both had left the realm of the dead. But in his overwhelming love and doubt, Orpheus turned too soon, and Eurydice vanished forever. This myth revealed that Hades was not cruel, but bound by law. Even his compassion could not violate the cosmic order. Love might bend the rules, but death would always restore them.
Hades' most famous and controversial tale, however, was his union with Persephone, the daughter of Demeter. Earlier myths portrayed it as an abduction, but deeper interpretations see it as the eternal dance of life and death. When Persephone descended into the underworld each autumn, the earth became barren, mourning her absence. When she returned each spring, the world bloomed again. This myth encapsulated the agricultural and spiritual rhythm of existence, the ceaseless cycle of decay and renewal. Hades and Persephone were not enemies of life, they were its hidden architects. Through them, humanity learned that death was not the end, but a transformation, a passage into another state of being. Unlike other gods who sought worship, Hades demanded none. He had no grand temples filled with laughter and song. His sanctuaries were few and somber, often carved into caves or hidden deep in the earth. The ancient Greeks offered him black sheep in silent rituals, calling him Pluton, meaning the giver of wealth. This title might seem strange for a god of death, but it held deep meaning. All riches, gold, gems, fertile soil came from beneath the earth. Hades, therefore, was not only the keeper of souls, but also of the world's hidden treasures. Life's nourishment and death's stillness were born from the same depths. Philosophers like Plato and Pythagoras later expanded upon the symbolism. They saw Hades as the embodiment of the soul's purification, a necessary phase between mortality and divine enlightenment. To die was to awaken, to shed the illusion of the material world and face one's true essence. Thus, in Greek thought, Hades was not to be feared, but to be respected. He was the reminder that everything physical returns to the unseen, and everything unseen waits to be reborn. Through centuries of evolution, Hades' image was distorted by later cultures. As Christianity spread, the word Hades was often mistranslated as hell, and the god himself was cast as a demonic figure.
This transformation was a tragedy of misunderstanding. The Greeks never believed in an eternal place of fire and torment. Their underworld was moral, orderly, and cyclical, a mirror of the cosmos. Hades was not the enemy of the gods, but their equal partner, ensuring that creation and destruction coexisted in harmony. When we peel away the layers of fear and religious distortion, we find a profound truth at the core of Hades' myth. He represents the acceptance of inevitability, the courage to look into darkness without despair. His throne of obsidian is not built on cruelty, but on understanding that all life must pass through shadow to reach light. Death in his realm is not an execution, it is a continuation, a journey inward. The realm of Hades also teaches the living about gratitude. To know that life is temporary gives every moment meaning. The laughter of a child, the warmth of the sun, the scent of rain, all are sacred because they will one day fade. Hades does not steal these joys, he preserves them in memory, ensuring that existence remains precious. The ancient poets often spoke of his silence, not as indifference, but as wisdom, the stillness of eternity watching the brief dance of mortals.
As time moved forward, the legacy of Hades continued to echo through literature and philosophy. In Dante's Divine Comedy, in Milton's Paradise Lost, and even in modern fantasy and film, the archetype of the underworld king persisted. Each retelling reshaped him, yet the core remained the same, a being of order within chaos, of restraint within passion. Every civilization needs its Hades, for without him, humanity would have no mirror to its mortality, no reason to strive for meaning. Hades' story ultimately invites reflection on the nature of power and peace. While other gods ruled through thunder and sea storms, Hades ruled through silence. He did not seek war or conquest because everything, kings, heroes, and gods, would eventually come to him. His dominion was infinite, not through force, but through patience. In his world, there was no noise, no vanity, only truth. That truth, quiet yet unbreakable, is the essence of the cosmos itself. As the myths fade and civilizations change, Hades remains, not as a figure of terror, but as an eternal reminder that life and death are one continuous breath, that to fear the end is to misunderstand the beauty of beginning. The ancient Greeks understood this balance long before modern philosophy gave it language. They knew that behind every seed's burial lies the promise of spring. And so, as the living offered silent prayers to the unseen king, they were not worshiping death, they were honoring the sacred rhythm of existence. In the end, Hades stands not as a villain of myth, but as its most profound truth. He is the stillness behind all motion, the darkness that gives light its meaning, the silence that allows music to exist. To know Hades is to understand that everything precious must one day return to the earth, not in despair, but in peace. The ruler of the underworld does not end the story, he ensures that it continues, forever cycling between loss and renewal.